So one useful tool in a developer's toolkit is the ability to run code on someone else's computer. So this is generally referred to as a cloud, or in DigitalOcean's case, a droplet. Now doing this has a number of pros and cons. One advantage is that you're using someone else's IP address and not leaking information on your IP address and physical location. So this is great from a global privacy perspective, but obviously you're still leaking this to the owner of the server, and that owner knows exactly what you're running on that server. So better from a global perspective, but worse from a privacy to corporation perspective. Another important advantage is that when you're unsure of the presence of malicious code or malicious packages and you don't have the time or ability to inspect the code, running it first on someone else's computer gives you peace of mind. There are a number of examples in the JavaScript ecosystem of NPM packages being released by pseudonymous authors, being used by developers in their releases, and then unknowingly being distributed to their users. Now, it's not as common in the Python ecosystem, but there are still examples of malicious Python packages being downloaded from PyPy. So the more experimental the software, the more attractive running on someone else's computer becomes. Convenience is another factor. You can spin up a DigitalOcean droplet, run some code, and then instantly destroy it and only be charged for the time it was up. So definitely a handy tool in the toolkit. Now it's relatively easy to set up. The most complicated part is generating SSH keys so that you and only you can access the server while you're renting it. Like Bitcoin's private public key cryptography, SSH uses private keys and public keys. You prove to the server that you are the one with access rights and knowledge of the private key associated with the public key that's stored on the server. So if you want to read more about SSH, there's the Wikipedia page, and Corey Schaefer has a video on SSH key-based authentication. Okay, so let's go into DigitalOcean. To create a new droplet, you click on Create and then Droplet. I'm in the UK, so I am going to choose London for my data center to avoid latency. I'm happy with Ubuntu as my Linux distribution. And depending on what software you're going to be running on this DigitalOcean droplet, you could go for the cheapest option there is. Bitcoin Core, ideally you'd have at least 1.5 gigabytes of memory, so you'd want to go for one of these two. This one has 2 CPUs, so maybe this one would be the best option. We'll choose this one for now. And here is where we are going to generate our SSH key and let the DigitalOcean droplet know what our SSH public key is. Okay, so let's click on new SSH key. It's got some instructions here. It says open a terminal and run the following command. We'll go in the terminal. Now, the SSH keys are typically stored in a hidden directory. So a hidden directory is one with a dot in front of it. So to go into the SSH directory, you'd go cd.ssh, and then you're in the .ssh directory. And we are going to generate an SSH key and store it in this directory. So we'll copy that command and generate our key pair. This is just temporary for me. I'm going to be deleting this, so I'm going to store it in a to be deleted file name. And if you are going to use a passphrase, you need to remember this passphrase, but I'm not going to in this, so I'm just going to press enter. And now we have our to be deleted public key stored in that file, and the private key stored in to be deleted file. So we've done that, we've gone through the passphrase. So now we need to add or copy and paste the contents of the public key in here. So we'll copy that command. Now it is to be deleted is the file name. So let's cap that. And then we can copy and paste that into that box and call it to be deleted. And now we're going to add that SSH key. So we've got to be deleted SSH key there. I'm also going to call the host name Ubuntu to be deleted. And then I think we're ready to create the droplet. So let's create it. I have another droplet set up for my Libero IRC instance, so that's there. I'll just wait for that to be created. In the meantime, here are some resources in case you get stuck on any SSH key type stuff. DigitalOcean resources on how to connect to droplets with SSH. And you can connect to GitHub with SSH. It's generally recommended actually. You don't have to. You can say git clone a repo without using SSH, but as I said, it's recommended to use SSH. Let's go back. Okay, so it should be ready now. Okay, so we have our droplet. Now to SSH into this droplet, we are going to go back into the terminal. We'll do SSH -I, and then we need to do the path to the private key. So that path is home.ssh because it's a hidden directory, and we had to be deleted as our file name for the private key. Then we'll have root as our username because we haven't set up any other users on this DigitalOcean droplet. And then we need to copy and paste the IP address. Okay, so that is the command to SSH into that droplet that we just created. Let's press enter. And just a couple of warnings. Are you sure you want to continue connecting? Yes, we are. And now we are in the DigitalOcean droplet. So this is where we can get cloned from GitHub repositories and run software from GitHub or alternatives to GitHub. For now though, we'll just do an ls to see what's currently in the DigitalOcean droplet, and there's just that snap directory. So all the things that you'd typically have installed on your laptop to get your to get up and running on DigitalOcean droplet, you'd have to install on this DigitalOcean droplet. So yeah, that is the setup for using SSH keys to get a DigitalOcean droplet set up and to connect to it. So So we'll clear that. And yeah, actually, let's exit out of that before I delete it. So I'm going to actually delete the DigitalOcean droplet. So let's exit out of that. We've closed the connection, and then it's safe for me to go into here and destroy this droplet because I was just setting it up for the purposes of this video. So destroy this droplet. There's a safety warning here, just in case you're accidentally deleting something you don't want to be deleting, but I do actually want to delete this droplet, so I'm just going to repeat the name of this droplet and click destroy. And that is our DigitalOcean droplet destroyed. So that's how easy it is to set the DigitalOcean droplet up, and once you've finished using it and you don't need it for anything else, to destroy it.